Marry the cook, marry the maid. This is something that a lot of men have heard, and it's been circulating in Western society now more so than ever, especially the way men are treated in Western society, the way women have become in Western society. The fact of the matter is that women in Western society do not like men in Western society. The way that they treat us, the way that we go through life being told that it is our job to be selfless and to serve people who have nothing good to regularly say about us. It's just telling. But it's very, very intriguing when you look at the reality of things. I was checking out a video, which we're going to be watching together, by Filipina Elated. And I've told you guys that these Filipinos are not messing around. They are not messing around. They've made themselves basically a worldwide phenomenon where men are now like, oh, the Filipina, the Filipina, the Filipina, in terms of being good wives and mothers. They make it very clear that they are raised to be wives and mothers. They will provide you with a happy home, a good experience, and they are legendary in this respect. Don't get me wrong, they are women, just like any other woman. And there's a lot of men who end up going to the Philippines and their lives are ruined because they think that they're finding the waltz, but it does not change the fact that you can have problems anywhere you go. And that's why you have to be mindful. This is why I don't recommend marriage in modern day society, because no matter where you really go, you're going to really experience these things. There's always that risk. Even going to Japan, you can go to Japan, and then when you look at the way that the roles operate in Japan, you could end up never seeing your children again as a man. So you have to be mindful and you have to be aware of what you can experience and what can happen. And there are going to be the simps and even some women who will say that you're just being weak, you don't want to take risk. And then when you end up, losing everything, these same people will either not be there or they'll turn around and say, "Well, you should have known this would happen. You're a big boy. You know that there were risks." This is the reason why men just walk away entirely and stop for no longer get married, no longer have children, and basically say, I'm just gonna chill and enjoy and live my best life. But yeah, we're gonna jump into the video by Filipina Elated. I'm gonna link you to her channel. You can go and check out her channel, support her content. But I just found it very interesting. She titled the video "The Maid You Never Expect to Be Your Lover Is a Game Changer." Let's see what this is, and then we'll do some commentary.
The real question is, are you fine dating a maid with no college degree? Do you care what other people say? Could it be your friends and family? When you become a couple, no, you don't need to pay her anymore. That is out of respect with the relationship you have. Men from the West find themselves undecided with a decision of whether to hire a maid while residing in the Philippines. For some, it's a matter of practicality, seeing it as a way to ease the burden of the daily chores and enjoy more free time. However, there are those who raise concerns about the cultural and ethical dimension of this choice. Some of them worry about how hiring a maid might affect or change their life personally. They think about who is that person they are going to hire. Is it someone who never completed a course in college? But brilliant? Are they capable to work and learn new things? Doubt in your mind. But let's find out what is the plot twist of getting a single Filipina maid with degree or not. Hi folks, my name is Jonabel and welcome to my YouTube channel. And today we will be talking about the maid in the Philippines. I created a video 4 months ago about the maid in the Philippines, where I included a bunch of information like how much is the salary, what are the things that they can do in the household, how they will change your life by letting them in your house. I received a comments and right now I will be answering those. The first question, can you please tell me the monthly salary for a full-time maid who stays with you in the province? The new daily minimum wage for Metro Manila in 2024 ranges from 573 to 610 across sectors per day. Moreover, to answer your question, in the province, it has a salary ranges from 5,500 to 6,000 per month. The national wages in the National Capital Region and the rest of the Philippines has increased. The minimum wage is usually raised to address issues related to income inequality and poverty. Metro Manila is an expensive area where the cost of living is generally higher than any other regions. Given this, raising the minimum wage may be necessary to ensure that workers are able to meet their basic needs and have a decent standard of living. The second question, how about live-in maid? Is that a monthly salary, including room and board? I'm talking about her own room and her own privacy, and Sunday and holidays off. Just curious. A live-in maid has her own room and has her own privacy that you must give to her as an employer. Her salary might depend on your agreement. Example, in a month there is 4 weeks. You can actually cut it into two. That means every 2 weeks you will pay her. If you are living in the province and the agreement salary is 6,000 pesos per month, then you will give her 3,000 pesos every 15 days. Next question. How long do you think is a good length of time to wait before you can decide whether your maid is trustworthy? The idea of leaving money out is a good one. But if she's savvy and doesn't take the bait initially, how long do you wait to tell? I ask because I've heard a lot of horror stories on other YouTube videos. You can tell if she is hardworking. Your maid should willing to out in the necessary effort to get the job done. Ask her about what kind of housework she currently does at home. Good questions to ask include how often she sweeps the floor, how often she cooks for her household, what time she wakes up and goes to sleep at night. In that way, you will be able to identify that she is doing her job as a housekeeper. I couldn't tell exactly how long, but based on what I've heard from others, you will most likely to find out after 6 months. Next question. You say the Filipinas are very clean, correct? Then why do they wash their bottoms with only water, no soap, and continue to do cooking without washing her hands with soap? I got sick and landed in the hospital with human waste in my faces. I was so angry the result of this kind of hygiene exists. I left the Philippines fast. I always wondered why there was no toilet paper in homes and in malls. Filipinas are indeed clean when it comes to household chores at home. They can do a lot of things in one day. But to answer your question, I beg to disagree because as a Filipina, I've never done that kind of thing. There are certain places in the Philippines that doesn't have a proper hygiene. But living here for over a decade already, I have noticed that all of us use soap and wash our hands before we eat or cook. It is just that you probably landed in a wrong place. But I won't argue because those kind of people probably exist everywhere. No proper hygiene, and they are fine with that. With the issue of toilet paper, yes, in the province we don't use that one. But there are alternatives that we choose to have. In the city, there are a lot of big malls that sells tissue almost everywhere. Next question. If you catch feelings for your maid, should you let her go as a maid if you want her as a girlfriend? Or should you just keep her as a maid? And if my maid becomes my lover, how much extra should I give to her? If your maid becomes your lover, then of course, no, she will not be your maid anymore. She will be your partner. But she can still do work in the household. But avoid calling her as a maid because she might get hard of that. Filipino women are very hardworking. Even if they are sick, they will always choose to do their duty. They feel embarrassed if they will do nothing at home. Just like my sister, working as an OFW, there is one time that she got an operation in other country. This was 2 years ago, and she felt really bad not fulfilling her duty as a housekeeper. In a week, she just probably resting her body because that's what the doctor advised. But after that, she works a little, even if she can still feel the pain. She respects her boss and her job so much. Fast forward, her employer likes how much dedication she put just for her to serve them. However, if your maid becomes your lover and you are curious about how much extra you will give, that actually depends on you. I guess you should not count, but instead make her happy with the best of your ability. Unlike some of their Western counterparts, Filipino appreciate simple gestures of affection and don't require extravagant gifts to feel loved. The next question is where can I exactly find a Filipina? Does online dating works if I want to start there?
I'm gonna stop there, and I'll just let you guys know. I agree with everyone who says avoid online dating when it comes to the Philippines. If you want to find a Filipina, go to the Philippines. Bypass online dating. I used to. I don't want to discuss where my contract is, but I obviously had an affiliation with some of these thingy-rijigs, and I will say my experience, like there are some platforms where you can find a decent Filipina. I will say that very much right now, and I definitely had an association with one of them. I still do, but I wouldn't say right off the bat, it's like it doesn't make any sense. It's not worth it. Like if you want to meet a good Filipina, go to the Philippines. Like, and I've been preaching that from the very beginning, from the very moment I started this YouTube channel. I've been saying, like, be very very careful with online dating. Like there's some good platforms out there, but I'm at the point now where I just don't even want to recommend them so much anymore because of the experiences that a lot of guys have had. Even on the good platforms, there are some problems that arise. For example, you know, I can again, I've worked with some of these platforms, and specifically one of the best platforms. And even then, I'm just not happy with how things work out with some of the women on these platforms, because a lot of them are kind of like, you don't want to mix religion into it. Some of you guys are religious, and it's fine to be religious, but I feel like some of these women on these platforms, it creates a certain barrier where they're going to try to taper your expectations off versus what you're supposed to get from a relationship. So I feel like the best thing for every man who wants to have a relationship with a Filipina, who's looking for a Filipina, should actually go to the Philippines and meet a Filipina in the Philippines if that's what you're looking for. But in terms of having a relationship, something that we should point out is that like the saying goes in Western society, and she actually mentioned it. The expectations of a Filipino are much different compared to their Western counterparts, and they're well aware of it. What men are going through in America and in Western society. I've said this before that someone actually, it wasn't even me, it was someone who said this, that women in Western society, women in America, they are serving as a terrible example right now for women in the rest of the world. Women in the rest of the world are looking on at American women in absolute shock. The rest of the world is looking on at American women in absolute shock right now. And while the toxicness of Western society will continue to pass around the world, I will make this very clear. It will become very, very difficult for it to ever reach the peak of Western society because of the welfare state. You don't have a welfare state the way that you do in many other countries. And so it is hard for it to reach this level of expectation, as bad, and to become as bad as it is in the United States, because you don't have a welfare state, let's say, even in very developed countries like China. China is a developed country. You don't have this type of thing. You people cannot live off the government. There's no, the government will basically say that, yet people cannot abandon their parents. They have to take care of their parents because that's their form of support. And it's like, you don't, without social safety net programs, without public assistance being so available, women in other countries, if they don't have a man, survival is much more difficult. In America, they're all living off the state and the simp economy, and men are still subsidizing their living. However, when you take that out, for with the simp economy moving overseas, you're seeing a lot of women crying on social media right now. And it's kind of crazy because the same women who are crying on social media are also the same women that are still in the streets. It's like, I don't know. But ultimately, men prefer a woman who's going to be fit, feminine, and friendly. A man doesn't care about a woman's college degree. And to be very honest with you, I made a poll recently where I talked about the notion that my university was offering me 30% off to go back and earn my doctorate. I have my undergraduate and two masters. And my education is actually in the health field and medical field. Many of you guys know my history. So for me to go back, it would basically be a doctorate in the medical field. And I don't really want to do that. I'm not going to do that. And the reality is that as we get older, as I get older, I begin to realize see exactly how people are looking down on people who have these doctorates now. Like it's a real disgrace when you're walking around with a PhD and you're making less money than some joker, some joker, like some guy who works for UPS or the post office, or like you're poor, like like unless you're in academia, like people will just look down on you and crap on you like, oh, so oh, you got oh, look at you, big man, you got your doctorate, huh? Doctor of nothing, right? Doctor of nothing. You got no money, you got no, you got nothing, bro. You don't even know how to open. You don't even know how to start a business. You don't understand. You don't understand anything about the world. Like you have no real skill sets, dude. But you've got your doctors. You're real. You're so smart, man. You're so smart. Like you want to start it. You don't even know how to get invest. You don't even know how to get startup capital for a business. You don't even know how money works. You know nothing about life, bro. But good for you, man. You've got your doctorate. Like that's how it is right now. Like it's becoming a real disgrace where you're seeing like these are just pieces of paper, and there's so many of these pieces of top junk paper in the workplace right now. Like companies are avoiding hiring. They're already avoiding hiring Gen Z. The economy is bad. Inflation is insane. They're already avoiding hiring Gen Z. Like 4 out of 10 employers won't hire Gen Z. But then on top of it, the value of college degrees have been dissipating for years. Gen Z has made the situation much worse because those degrees that they earned, many of them, they did not have the same rigor as others. A lot of employers are now turning away from Ivy League education, which is frightening. So, if you had a degree from Harvard, it meant that at least you knew something, right? Now employers are completely getting furious. You have all of these young people graduating from colleges like Harvard itself, and the young people that are graduating from Harvard, they're idiots. They have no common sense. And the fact is they were able to somehow make it through this education, and then they're not able to apply the skill sets in the real world. And as a result, many of these employers are now backing away from even hiring anyone from Harvard or schools like Harvard because the Gen Z idiots that are graduating from these universities don't know their heads from their rear ends. And it's like it's a significant problem, a really really significant problem. Guys, don't forget I have another channel called Angry where I discuss gaming, anime, geek stuff, nerd stuff, real world stuff, and whatever else interests me. There's a link to it in the description of the video. Go check it out, subscribe to the channel, support my work. And if you're enjoying the content on this channel and you want even more of this content, head over to my Men Walking Away channel. There's a link to it in the description of the video. You can go check the channel out, subscribe to the channel, support my work. Guys, what do you think regarding all of this? Marry the marry the cook, marry the maid, marry the cook, marry the cleaner. Let me know your thoughts. We'll talk about it in the comments. Like the video if you like it. Don't forget to subscribe. And if you like the video, share the video. And just remember that all roads lead to MWA and walking away. And cheers.